let's start coming back to the Galilee. Let's start planning the day after the war. Let's start thinking about the day after the war in the south and the day after the war here in the north, and to put a stake in the ground and say, this is time for us to continue to start coming back home, to start rebuilding the ecosystem here, because if every month that goes by, there's a big price to pay.
The Israel-Hamas war is increasingly including other regional actors like Hezbollah and the Houthis, as the Iranian proxy terror groups escalate their hostilities along Israel's borders. In the north, over 40 communities and the city of Kiryat Shmona have all been evacuated. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis have all been forcefully displaced from their homes, and if they aren't empowered to return soon, it could spell disaster. Upper Galilee Regional Council head Giora Sartz tells the media line that some 50% of the agriculture in the region has been shut down, that tourism has fallen to practically zero, and that nearly 85% of the companies new to the Galilee in the last 5 years have left, and they may never come back.
There's tremendous losses with every additional week that people are evacuated, because small businesses are losing their livelihood. People that have startups need to relocate them, and a lot of the people are no longer staying. So it's a big price to pay. And even the students that we're working with in the schools, which are now in Tveria or in Tel Aviv or in Eilat, it's a misorientation, because they're learning math and Hebrew and English and food tech, and they need to come home.
Today we are 5,000. Nearly 6,000 students, but 60% of our students after 7th October evacuated. And 60% of the people who work in Tel Hai, which is the biggest employer in the East Galilee, we have 1,550 employees. 60% of them are from Eilat to Yesod HaMa'ala, meaning that today when we are teaching the students, we are doing a matrix of maybe the lecturer is in Tel Aviv and the student is somewhere in his house in Haifa.
To help revitalize the Galilee then, Margalit announced that he'll be hosting willing companies at his startup cities in Machanaim and in nearby Kiryat Shmona.
I think that probably more than half of the company are not ready to come back just yet. But when the penguins jump into the water in the South Pole, there's always 2, 3, or 4 penguins that jump first. The rest follow. So what we're saying is that we need to jump first. Margalit Startup City is opening up its gates. We're bringing back some of the companies. We're going to be talking today about some of the initiatives that we're doing here in the north now. And then this is the sign for many other people that have already been here and people that want to come back here. And we'll see some leaders of the region to say, we're opening up, we're coming back, even if it's gradual, even if it's one step at a time.
And Margalit's not alone. Dozens of tech companies, entrepreneurs, educators, and investors gathered in Kibbutz Machanaim to exchange information, provide support for one another, and lay pressure on the Israeli government to join their mission. Particularly, as according to Regional Councilman Saltz, the government today is acting more like an active barrier.
Our incubator right now, unfortunately, is shut down because it's part of the evacuation zone. But we are hoping to get it back up and running. We're hoping the government will support us to bring the evacuees back so that all of the incubator companies who are represented here today who want to go back will be able to do so.
The major fear from those we've spoken to today is that the world's perception will falter and that international investment will fail to continue to promote and to support these companies in their times of need.
In fact, Yuval Klein of Mamai Technologies, a company that's developing objective and communicable measurements for how things taste, says the investment struggles began in January 2023 during the anti-government protests, and they were only exacerbated because of the war as potential investors tried to wait for the quote-unquote right time.
And since then, we are on pause. We can do whatever we can do, promoting ourselves, continue development in our own source. But actually no one is explaining us what is going to happen, and no one actually specifically helping us.
Klein goes on to say that if the evacuation of the north extends beyond March 31st and he doesn't get any necessary funding that he's looking for, then he'll have no choice but to likely relocate his company. And it may not even be in Israel at all, let alone in the Galilee.
I wish to stay here. I moved here. I came 4 years ago and moved to the north in order to be part of what is happening. I'm totally enrolled, you know. I came today to RL and told him, if you tell me come tomorrow, I will come tomorrow. It's not about the war. It's not about the situation. It's not that I am afraid. It's no. It's because I just need the minimal things in order to work. And when this is taken from me, I have no options.
That said, leaders in the north are hopeful that the war will not continue so long. Staltz, for one, believes that an agreement between Israel and Hezbollah could be brokered by as soon as May.
Reporting from Kibbutz Machanaim in northern Israel, I'm Aaron Porras for the Media Line.